Hello, hello. Welcome, hockey fans, Avalanche fans, everybody around the net. Welcome to In the Crease, a part of Rocky Mountain Sports Network. This is going to be a bit more of a heartfelt show than we normally have, just based on some recent events. But thank you all so much for joining us. Like I say, we are In the Crease, a part of Rocky Mountain Sports Network, and here we talk about all things Colorado Avalanche and as much as we can get to from around the NHL. I am Gregory Doudna, your host for the night. With me, as always, is the man himself, Scott Cole. Scott, how you doing tonight, man?
Doing pretty good, all things considered, what's going on around the world and everything. But ready to talk some hockey and ready to recap what an amazing week has been for the Avalanche and the NHL in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into anything, just got to do a quick thanks to our sponsors, Willow Seasonings and Blends. A big shout out to them for everything that they have done for us. And, definitely want to get them kind of on your radar if you are a grilling family, a smoking family, anything that really involves meats, fish, anything like that. Willow Seasonings and Blends is a phenomenal product. Without their support, none of this would be possible. Be sure to go to willowseasonings.com. Check out all their products. They are fantastic. They've got a bunch of different blends. You can put a little bit of spice in your life with a variety of flavors from sweet heat to feisty lime. They've even got one that's garlic based, which of course hits me right in the heart. I love it very much. Be sure to check them out. And before we get into the hockey stuff, which we will get into, I promise, we've got to hit the heartfelt side of this show. First things first, we here at In the Crease would love to send our condolences, our love, and our energy to the family of Demarius Thomas, who passed away at the way too young age of 33 on Thursday night. As much as we can send to them, absolutely heartbreaking. Being Broncos fans, this one hits home. And above all else, he was a phenomenal human being outside of anything that he ever did on the football field. Just a truly devastating loss. And be sure to stay tuned to Rocky Mountain Sports Network as more details come out and more stuff happens. We've got plenty of tributes happening, a lot of people telling stories. So be sure to join in on that. And then we want to jump into something that really personally affects Scott here, and that is the absolutely devastating tornadoes, which were reported in 6 different states, one which hit 4, I believe, just absolutely heartbreaking, one of which actually went through Scott's hometown in Mayfield, Kentucky. Scott, if you would like to say anything, you have the floor, my man.
Yeah, this tornado was a devastating hit for a lot of people. This tornado in particular covered about 239 miles, crossing 4 states, a category F5 tornado, I believe what it was. I've seen some footage of it. This tornado was massive. My hometown, Mayfield, Kentucky, was hit by this tornado, tore through the courthouse square, tore through a candle factory where they're still pulling people out. The governor expects the death toll to be over 70 people. There was a Amazon factory that was hit in another part of one of the other states. So there's a lot of coverage and recovery going on for a lot of these small cities. Mayfield's a city of about 10 to 12,000 people, not very big or anything. But it's where I was born, where I grew up, and spent the first 14 years of my life. And wouldn't be the person I am without some of the experiences I had there. And, with my living with my mother, being the oldest of 4 kids. So I have started to GoFundMe for this. I've donated myself $500 of my own, $500 myself. I've had some friends donate already. We'll put that GoFundMe up later on in the show towards the end, and we'll share it on our Rocky Mountain Sports Network page, just for those who would like to donate. Not asking you to donate what I did. Donate what you can, $5, $10, whatever you feel like you want to do to help these people. I'm going to try and get these funds into the hands of a church or a charity close by. That way recovery efforts can don't get tied up in all the red tape of funds from Red Cross and everything. National Guard's been activated. Red Cross is there on the ground already, assisting in the cleanup efforts, and things are going to take some time, but they're going to recover. I've been in contact with my family out there. Everybody's safe. My uncle did lose his house, it looks like. But again, everybody's safe. That's a big thing. And hopefully the families that did lose loved ones can find those bodies and put them to rest sooner rather than later. And hopefully the city itself, along with everybody else who was hit by this this massive tornado last night, can eventually recover. It's going to take some time.
Yeah, and my condolences to you as well, to your family. Just absolutely, and just mind-boggling. That level of devastation.
I didn't know anything about it until my dad reached out to me. My dad lives here in Colorado, and as soon as I saw the news, that's all I did today was set up this GoFundMe and just check in on family and everybody. And it's sad to have to reunite with family this way over something so devastating.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like you said, we will get that GoFundMe link popped up here towards the end of today's show for anybody who would like to donate, help out anybody that has been affected by just this absolutely devastating storm that ripped through the central United States. Just all the loves, all the energy, anything that can go out and help the folks out there. Something, I could never imagine, growing up here in Colorado, we dealt with blizzards. That's it. We didn't have hurricanes. We didn't have tornadoes. So that's just, it's something that to me is absolutely mind boggling and something I hope nobody ever has to go through, but unfortunately it's way too regular of an occurrence. And the loss of life, the loss of property, all of it is just absolutely devastating. So, like I say, energy and love to everybody affected by this. So now that we've got that out of the way,
let's get to the fun stuff.
Let's get to the fun stuff, man. It has been a wild week of hockey, not just for the Colorado Avalanche, but my God, what a tear they're on right now. This team has just been on fire. There was a lot of concern, I would say, coming in after the Toronto game, losing 8-3. A lot of people were like, "Oh, is Colorado the real deal, or are they just kind of pretending right now?" That game in and of itself has its own storyline that could, kind of point to why it happened the way it did, why they got in the situation they did. But outside of that, they came right back and stormed through the rest of their road trip, came back home, laid the absolute beat down on the Detroit Red Wings last night, and have now scored 7 goals in 3 straight games. These guys have put up more points this past week than the Denver Broncos.
Sorry, Broncos. Gotta throw you under the bus there.
Yeah, but just, absolutely amazing. And this last piece, 76 goals in 14 games. That is something that the NHL has not seen in over 25 years. The 95-96 Penguins were the last team to score at that pace, to have that level of just absolute offensive dominance. And it's something that, to be honest, I was not expecting this season. I expected them to be good. I didn't expect anything like this.
Yeah, I didn't expect anything like this either. I think for a lot of us, we said a lot, especially Avs fans, you sit there and you looked at this roster at the beginning of the season, and you and I talked about this at length. It's like last year's roster was the Stanley Cup roster, in our opinion. You have so many young bodies coming up. Jacob McDonald, who, people are like, okay. You brought in McDermott to play defense from time to time, even though he's only playing 3 or 4 minutes a night when he is in there. You're bringing Darcy Kemper in here, who's a fantastic goalie in all his own rights, but, people still question the move. Alex Newhook, Bo Byram coming up. Ranta, who's still hurt, was coming up. And you're putting a lot of pressure on those young athletes. Logan O'Connor being another one who finally got some goals, So it was impressive to see, but just at this pace that they're scoring at, and, McKinnon's only put 2 goals in the back of the net, or 3 now.
3 now, yep.
McKinnon's only put 3 in the back of the net. Kadri's been your guy, but Kadri's out right now. And then Makar scoring at the pace he's doing. And then Devon Tays missing the first, 9 games of the season. Mm-hmm. And now he's he's put up what 16 assists in his career. His season best is a 20 or 22.
Yeah,
The dude's gonna crush his season stats. I mean,
20 points in 15 games.
Yeah, this is amazing, and I'm like freaking out, jumping out of my seat. I can't wait to go to the game tomorrow night.
Same. I have been looking forward to it since those tickets were bought. That's for sure. But yeah, you touch on it. The interesting thing that is happening with this Avs team is that they are just absolutely dominating without the players that you kind of expect to be the ones dominating. Like you said, Nathan MacKinnon now has 3 goals on the year. It took him forever to get past 1. He finally got 1 in the game before Detroit, and then got 1 last night against Detroit. That it seems like that has kind of sparked it. We all kind of expected it. It's Nathan MacKinnon. It's not like he's going to go the whole season scoring 1 goal. We knew that was going to be the case, but yeah, you're getting the just the incredible production from Nazem Kadri, who, like you say, is out right now, but he has been scoring at a career pace. Captain Gabriel Landeskog, who was on it still is on a 10-game point streak, because he actually extended that before
he got hurt yesterday.
Right. Yep. I'll pop that up so I don't forget and say something stupid here. But yeah, he's sitting at 9 goals. Mikko Rantanen hopped up to 12. He took over the team lead. Cale Makar, like you said, he's the first defenseman in double digits, and it's looking like if he continues to score at the pace that he is, he's going to be the first defenseman since the 90s to score 40 goals. They're just coming from places that make this Avs team just so tough, so dominant, so difficult to play against, and for Avs fans like ourselves, makes it so much fun.
Yeah. And here's another name that we're not mentioning yet that is having a fantastic year after missing a lot of time. Number 6, Erik Johnson, the Condor. Man, after what we've seen the last 2 years from him, you and I were both like, trade him, get rid of the $6 million dead space, blah, 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 all this other stuff. Yep. And he is just having a resurgent career as a stay-home defenseman. He's got, I think 2-3 goals on the season, which is more than enough to expect from Erik Johnson. Yeah. And we're not even halfway through the season. We've played the least amount of games in the league so far by like 2. And we're going to have a backloaded end of the season. But if this team plays the way they're playing right now, towards the end of the season, going into the playoffs, I do not want to step in front of that train.
Yeah, no kidding. Erik Johnson's got 3 goals, 8 assists on the year already. And like you say, that's from a guy who is a stay-at-home defenseman. That's from the guy that we never expect to get involved offensively, and he's putting up points. It's absolutely nuts. Looking through the stats right now, as you brought it up, Logan O'Connor. I was so happy to see those 2 goals that he put in, because it's something that I've brought up to you. It's something I've brought up to my dad. Something I've brought up to the people that I talk hockey with. In my eyes, Logan O'Connor has got it. He is that star player that's just missing that scoring touch. He's got the speed that matches MacKinnon. He's got the feistiness that matches, like Matt Calvert. He's not afraid to get in, do what he needs to do. He's got some great hands, which he continues to show like game in, game out. He has just been so snake bitten and so unable to put the puck in the net. And oh my God, if he could have scored on like every chance that he has gotten so far this season, he'd probably be sitting at like 20 goals already. The dude 100%. Just gets himself into the right places. The amount of shorthanded breakaways that he has had, that he just for whatever reason could not get the puck in the net. If he gets that going, my God, we have the next Avalanche star right there, who's sitting in on the 3rd and 4th line regularly. Has been jumping up to the first line just to kind of mix things up, let Rantanen drop down to the second line, which is something I do want to talk with you here in just a sec. But yeah, you're seeing just these surges from players that, were kind of the unexpected ones, maybe not so much in Cale Makar, but definitely with Nazem Kadri, definitely with Logan O'Connor, definitely with Valeri Nichushkin. Like, this team has just found its depth and has found that thing that it needed to just blow teams out of the water. But I do want to jump on this real quick because I did mention it. With the idea of putting Logan O'Connor up on the first line, to play with Nathan MacKinnon and Gabriel Landeskog. They've been knocking Mikko down to the second line to play with Berkey and Kadri, and it's been working clearly very well. I mean, they've scored 7 goals in the last 3 games straight. So clearly, smart idea. But one of the things that I thought would have been kind of interesting, and it actually is, it plays off of the idea that you brought up the past 2 shows that we've had, actually, of putting Nathan MacKinnon on the second power play. What do you think about the idea of dropping him to the second line rather than Rantanen? Because then you're looking at kind of the same thing like we agree with on the power play, of he then goes up against the opposing team's second line, and you then have all of the puck movement that you need on the top line rather than just trying to force the puck to Nathan. And then you can have that second line, which already has phenomenal puck movement between Kadri and Burakovsky, add in Nathan there, and that might be some pretty devastating stuff. It's weird to say, hey, Nathan, be the second line center, and even knock Kadri up to the top. But it's one of those jumble things that I feel like could really spark the Avs even more. Not that they need it,
right?
But just to get Nathan back on that level where he is the Nathan MacKinnon that we all remember.
I think it's a brilliant idea if you think about it. I mean, people are, Avs fans are like, oh, MacKinnon, he's a goal scorer. He needs to get on it. He needs to work it. But I mean, you've seen him on that top line. He's being attacked by 3 or 4, players as he's skating into the zone. Mm-hmm. He's going to get that regardless. But if you're playing him against lesser talent on the second line or against the third or the fourth lines at times, depending on how the matchups go with icings and stuff like that, you're going to create more chances for him. The question is, with him playing the second line, how do you make up for the time on ice? MacKinnon's skating 20 to 25 minutes per game. If you drop him down that second line, he's going to skate less.
Sure.
So they're going to have to make up for it in some way. And that's a tough thing. It's like, I don't envy the job that Jared Bednar has. I mean, I couldn't be a coach for hockey, period. Trying to figure out hockey lines and stuff. I mean, the Mighty Ducks movies made it look so simple to be a coach in hockey. And then you go back and you're like, actually, not that easy, guys. Trying to make sure everybody gets the correct amount of ice time, making sure your line changes are quick, smooth, precise, and they're 30 to 40 second shifts versus a minute 39 shift, especially if you guys get caught in the offensive zone or defensive zone. That's what happens a lot with this top line. You don't see them playing in the defensive zone that much. And when they do get caught in there, it's rough to watch.
Yeah.
So, moving MacKinnon down, moving O'Connor up, Kadri up, whatever way you want to do it. This team has so much depth. I mean, you could literally just mix and match as you please. And Bednar does that a lot. Sometimes it frustrates me when he's mixing and matching. But this team is on a tear. So, the 76 goals in 4 games. Unheard of. It hasn't happened in 25 years. The Avalanche are doing something phenomenal this season as being one of the highest scoring offensive teams. And I think mixing and matching just a tiny bit, moving MacKinnon around, trying to get him open a lot is great. But I want to know how much we're going to sacrifice on the defensive side of the puck when doing that. And that's an issue. That's an area where the Avs are struggling right now, is defensive opportunity, offensive opportunities for the opposing team and breakaway chances and stuff like that. I mean, that game against Detroit, even though we only gave up 3 goals, two of those goals shouldn't have happened, in my opinion. But I mean, what are you going to do? The game against the Rangers, the game against Philadelphia, even regardless of who's in net, you can't give up those opportunities. Eustace and Annunen, sorry, had those first 3 goals. He couldn't stop on Monday. He had a slap shot, and then he had two spots where Philadelphia took advantage of his speed and his anticipation of the puck movement and stuff. Learning opportunities for Annunen, but definitely something that the Avs defense can't give up in return.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And that is one thing that does need to be talked about, because one of the issues that you run into when you have something that is just so overpowering like the Avs offense is that you kind of start to get a little blind to the problems. And that's something that, as you know, as Avs fans, you can kind of let go. As like we are being analysts and being reporters, we can't. You know, we have to find the areas where the Avalanche can continue to get better, and 100% it's on the defensive side of things, which is really interesting to think about when you remember that the last 2 years the Avs were the best defensive team in the league by miles. And so it's weird that
it was like 18 straight games giving up less than 30 shots on goal.
Right. And so it's interesting that that's what has taken such a kind of such a dramatic step back. You know, they were showing some of the things last night during the game about where the Avs kind of stand in different aspects of the game, and they are the second worst team in goals against. Like that can't happen. That's something that the Avs absolutely cannot allow to happen, regardless of the fact that they're putting up 7 goals a game. That's not going to continue. Like we've got to be realistic in the fact that even if it does continue throughout the regular season, you're not getting 7 goals in the playoffs, at least not regularly. So to be the team that is giving up the second most goals per game, that's something that once we do hit the playoffs, that's going to come back and bite you. Once you start hitting those teams like Toronto's, like Minnesota, like the teams that can really punish you, man, that's going to come back and bite them hard. So that needs to be something that I'm sure Bednar has talked ad nauseum about with the team. I'm sure that is something that they're working on just tirelessly. But personally for you, what do you think is something that the Avs can really look at to say, hey guys, we need to get our defense back on track. This is where we're messing things up. Because for me personally, I just, I struggle because so much of it does come in those odd man rushes. So much of it comes because of the offense being so dominant and so up front, and everything's pushing towards the opposing goal that the second the puck barely squeaks past them, it's just a mad rush the other way.
I mean, I love the attitude on offense of this team, this team with the Avs and what they've been able to do over that span of time. How do we address the defensive woes that we see? I mean, it's easy to overlook it when the final score of the game is 7-3 Avs, but I mean, that Philadelphia game, like I said, was a perfect example. There's no reason that game should have finished at 7-5.
Yeah.
No reason whatsoever. So how do you address it? Look at the youth of this team. Look to those players. I mean, Cale Makar is a great offensive weapon. I'm not talking just Cale Makar. I'm talking Logan O'Connor. I'm talking Valeri Nichushkin, who's a great defensive player and one of our penalty killers. Alex Newhook, Jost, some of those other players, and be like, hey, look, appreciate what you're doing on the offensive side of the puck. We need to take care of the puck in our own zone. And the scheme that the Avs have in the defensive zone, their setup, the way they attack it and everything is awesome, but it's their transition game that really struggles sometimes, and that's where the Avs give up a lot of their goal opportunities is in their transition. So protecting the puck through the neutral zone, protecting the puck going into the zone, and just being aggressive on some of that forecheck might open up some of those opportunities for somebody to get back and protect that zone. But it's not leaving the center of the ice open and forcing the other teams to the walls.
Mm-hmm.
If you let a team like Florida tomorrow night attack the center of the offensive zone coming into the zone, you're going to give up some bad scoring opportunities. Force them to the boards on either side. Force them to dump the puck and chase, and be aggressive on the forecheck in your own zone, and turn it against them. If you can turn it against them, you have a solid opportunity against Florida. That's what Tampa did to them in the playoffs last year in that battle for Florida. Is they forced Florida to the outside, Tampa attacked down the center, and it really showed why Tampa is such a dominant team on both sides of the puck.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the Avs can start playing a lot like Tampa, there's going to be a few more Stanley Cups coming to Denver. But like you said, you have to talk to the youth part of this team. I'm not the veterans too, your superstars too, and be like, hey, we need to be better on the defensive side of the puck. We can score in bunches. We need to prevent scoring in bunches now.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And one thing I feel like the Avs need to focus on is something that I'm sure you've probably heard in the past. Definitely something that, as athletes, as musicians, we hear quite often, and that's KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yep.
Because one of the issues that I see with the Avs when they're in the defensive zone, like you're talking about, you end up running into where they're trying to do such, kind of spectacular things because this is such a finesse team. This is a team with so much speed, so much talent, so much passing ability that they're trying to force passes. They're trying to do these crazy cross ice passes through a lot of traffic and stuff like that a lot of times just ends up backfiring. I mean, there was a couple times in last night's game where I caught Sam Girard trying to, do a quick saucer pass over someone's stick. There's two guys in the middle of the ice. Just keep it along the boards, and that also comes into play where, they need to be a little more comfortable with the puck in their zone. A lot of it I'm seeing is, the quick chips and, just get it out. Oh, just flip it out. Oh, get it off the boards and out. Gather that puck, gather yourself, figure out where the play is, because so often they're just trying to, either make that crazy cross ice pass to someone who's streaking because, we have that ability. You hit the guy streaking, that's a breakaway. But you end up giving those chances to the other teams when you try and make plays like that just really aren't there. When you're trying to force these plays that that you can make when you shouldn't make, that's where you're running into these issues. Yeah. And that's where I would really love to see, something that we had actually brought up with Sam Girard personally, of moving him up as forward. I truly believe that would be something that would just be so beneficial for this Avs team, especially when you see his play that happens in the defensive zone and how often he's willing to just either do a quick chip up off the boards or try and get that crazy stretch pass. Get to where you have your defensemen who are just comfortable in their corners. If you get defensemen who are comfortable in your own corners, you become such a scary team because now you have, three opposing players trying to dig that puck out and one person who's not giving it up and can suddenly make an easy break going the other way.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and that's where, just get a little bit more size, even not all that much. Even with someone like Cale Makar, I've seen him do it plenty of times. He's not the biggest guy. It's just about having that comfort and having that wherewithal to know that you're going to make the play.
Yeah, I challenge fans in what Greg was saying here. You have that defenseman who's comfortable in his zone. When we're talking zones for a defenseman, if you're looking at the offensive zone of the ice, for a team that's attacking, what we're talking about is a zone. Is that space of ice up to the face-off circle and behind it and half that. Mm-hmm. So that left half behind that face-off circle, that's that one defenseman zone. Mm-hmm. The other side of it, that's the other defenseman zone. If you can get a player to stay in that zone and own that sheet of ice right there, you're going to be solid. Mm-hmm. Cale Makar does a great job of it. Erik Johnson is phenomenal at it. Mm-hmm. Kevin Shattenkirk, he's another great one that owns mm-hmm. his zone of ice. There's tons of defensemen who do this and, are stay-at-home defensemen or have the ability to, like Makar, probably not just one of the greatest defensemen on ice, one of the greatest players on ice in his young career, can do. And if you get players like that allows your other three forwards to open up some ice down by the net. And that's what makes Makar's wrist shot just a dangerous play. Is the tip-ins that Landeskog and Rantanen can do. I'm pretty sure we all saw that little, Rantanen's like, hey, my blade's right here, mm-hmm. throw it right here and I'll just flick it in. Mm-hmm. Phenomenal. That's how the Avs are scoring these goals and they'll be consistent with it. And the same thing on the other side of it. When you flip it down and you go defensively, your defenseman on the bottom half of that ice in front of your goalie. Right. That's their space. Your forwards, you're going to have your center probably come down and help out your defenseman from time to time, but your center's on the top and your two wingers are on the side trying to protect that zone. It's phenomenal to watch. So I challenge people, if you really want to understand what we're talking about with a defenseman owning a piece of ice, watch Erik Johnson when he's on the ice. Watch Cale Makar when he's in when he's in the offensive zone as a defenseman. Watch how he owns his piece of ice and watch how they transition and switch and everything. And you're going to understand that a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one area where, obviously we miss him just because he is who he is. But Bo Byram, man, missing him, I feel like is just absolutely massive for this team, and it would help out immensely simply because he is that fearless defenseman who just corners are his. Whether they're his own corner or the other team's corners, he does not shy away from getting in there, digging at pucks, getting the play off that needs to happen. And it's something that's going to be interesting to see, especially for the rest of this season, see what might happen next season, bringing in Justin Barron, kind of bringing in some more defensemen that are a little bit bigger, a little bit, better suited for those types of plays. It's something that, again, I wish I could kind of get in the ear of Bednar and be like, hey, move Gerard to forward. You've got some good sized defensemen coming in. Just get them in there, get them that experience so that they're the ones who are making those defensive zone plays that, anytime an opposing team crosses that blue line, we're going, I'm not worried. Like that's what I'm looking forward to, because that's exactly what we felt last season and the season before.
Yeah.
Anytime the opposing team came in, I never worried. I never cared. It helped also having Grubauer playing as well as he did, but you knew that puck was going to come right up and out, and suddenly it was going to be a chance for the Avs. So it would just be nice to get back there.
Quick shout out real quick. The Colorado Mammoth are at home tonight. They are opening up their their second game of the season at home after a win over the Georgia Swarm last week. They're playing the Seals tonight at home, blackout at Ball Arena. That game is available on ESPN Plus. Check it out. I've got it streaming on my phone right now as they're about to get started. Face-off happens here in about the next 5 minutes. So if you want to get your indoor lacrosse fix in, all the games are available, not just for the Colorado Mammoth, but all of the National League Lacrosse on ESPN Plus. Please get your ESPN Plus just subscription. I mean, it's fantastic. There's so much content there. And I can't wait to watch some Mammoth lacrosse go down tonight.
Heck yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
There's no Avs hockey going on, so what else are you going to do? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What better way than with something else that you throw into a net? Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
No, we have one of the best goaltenders in the National League Lacrosse with Ward. So,
nice.
Dude's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, it is something that I do remember before the season that got canceled was the Mammoth have been great. It's been just a phenomenal team, and definitely one that'd be fun to watch and one that'd be fun to cover. And hopefully we can hop on top of that and start covering them, kind of get some access in there. Cause that'd be an absolute blast. I went to a game years ago with my parents and just had a great time. Definitely something that'd be fun to get a bit more into. Just, man, hockey season, it becomes so like overpowering. You kind of forget about the other things.
Lacrosse is fun, man. I mean, it's the same arena, same rink dimensions as the NHL and everything else, and just so fun to watch. Ball Arena turns into the Loud House. It is loud as hell in there. It's fantastic. I love the energy. So if you're a huge hockey fan, you're going to love indoor lacrosse with the Colorado Mammoth.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So a couple more things to touch on for the Avs over the past week. We finally got JT Compher back after he missed like a month and a half with injury.
Gets a goal.
Yeah, gets the first goal of the game. He tips in just too good, and especially for someone who is also like damn near everybody on this roster is also on pace to have a career year. It's hilarious in a lot of ways. It is absolutely hilarious that it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter what's going on. They just come in. They have an A on their sweater and they're putting pucks in the net. They're being dominant. And it's to me, it's too funny. It is too funny that, you kind of figure, oh man, he's missed, I don't even know how many games, but he's been out for, like I said, like a month and a half with an injury. And you kind of figure, okay, it's going to take some time to knock off that rust. Nope, let's just go get the first goal of the game. It's fine.
Nothing to see here. It's all good. Yeah. 877 goals now is open for business.
Exactly. It's so funny to see, and just it makes being a fan of this team so fun. Man, that goal gets him up to 10 points on the season, and that's in 13 games played. It's cool. It's cool, man. It makes it kind of hard, I will say, as reporters, because it's just like what do you what are we supposed to do? Like, this is just, it's so much, it's unreal. I mean, you know, there's too many players to be like, God, they're having a great year. They're having a great year. Let's look at this person in particular. Yeah, well, we can do that with everybody.
Let's just label it a career year for everybody and be over it.
Basically, it's too funny, and it's just, I'm having such a great time. And I do want to bring up a player we did talk about just a little bit before, but who is also having a career here, Devon Taves. This dude, like, my lord, misses 9 games to start the season. Obviously missed all of preseason. Had a like months long injury after having surgery during the offseason. Comes back, has 20 points in 15 games. Just for reference, Cale Makar has 25 points in 21 games. That is your top defensive pairing, both scoring at over a point per game. What? Like, just absolutely nuts.
You imagine the conversation in the locker room? Hey, Cale, you chasing that Norris Trophy? Yeah. What about you? Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yep. Exactly.
That's
exactly right. Yeah, and it's too funny because we hear talks about, okay, what's Team Canada doing for the Olympics? Well, Devon Taves, for whatever reason, isn't on that roster, and I would love to know why.
Early injury.
Yeah, and we hear about the Norris Trophy talks already, because of course that's just naturally what happens. We don't even play a game and we're already talking about who's winning trophies. But everybody is already looking at Adam Fox again, and Victor Hedman, because always, and Roman Yossi, and obviously Cale Makar. Devon Taves is over here just doing just as well as any of them. It's absolutely insane. It's something that, talk about just an absolute like embarrassment of riches. Like, what are we doing here in Colorado? We're going to say, oh yeah, we don't just have one defenseman who's looking at the Norris. We have 2, not just looking at it. Better be very much considered. If they're not the top 1 and 2, or at least top 3, then people are crazy. And again, this is someone who's not even being talked about in these situations of, like I said, the Olympic team in the Norris Trophy. How can you?
I mean, the Olympic team makes sense that he's not being talked about being considered for the Olympic team. Canada has a plethora of players to choose from. So I get it. And, it's what it was like before Lake Placid. It was like the best of the best in the NHL. Devon Taves, as a defenseman, yes, he's having a phenomenal season, and it's probably going to be a career season for him. But, his shining moments came when he was playing elsewhere, in Chicago and everything else, or in New York. Still a young defenseman in his own right. This is only his 4th, 5th year in the league.
Yes, he is 27 years old and has played 4 seasons.
Yeah, so 27 years old, still relatively young in the eyes of the NHL, and that's probably the reason why he's not getting as much love as somebody like Cale Makar, who Canada's watched under a freaking microscope his entire career. I mean, you're talking about a former captain for the junior team, in Cale Makar. So there's a reason why the spotlight's on him. Devon Taves, not so much. But, I mean, credit to Joe Sakic, another Rangers were in trouble, couldn't stay under the salary cap. Colorado's got money and some picks. We'll take him. I'll give you this. Sign him to a 4-year deal, and he's shining here in Colorado. So it's only a matter of time before he gets his due. But I don't think Canada really had an eye on him as far as that. As far as the conversation for the Norris Trophy, it's only December 11th. Plenty of time. Plenty of time for people to start being like, holy crap, just how loaded is this Avalanche team? I'm one of those people. Like, I saw our opening roster and I was like, we're still favored to win the cup? How?
We've lost so much
We
firepower.
lost so much firepower. We lost so many veterans. But I mean, you look at it now and you're just like, okay, now I see what Bednar's doing and how he's doing. You people wanted to fire Bednar?
Yeah, for real. We have some bones to pick on quite a few people who are out here saying that Bednar did not deserve to come back and just that's
All right, let's go back and replay the last 14 games with somebody else, please.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, not going to be so lucky there.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Exactly right. And yeah, I think we're gonna have to move on to the rest of the NHL because at this point, I feel like we could just gush over.
We
how
could talk
amazing.
Avs all day, and we could be here for the next 6 hours.
Exactly, and again, it all being this player's having a career year. This player, I mean, it just
tune in next week when we talk about 3 different players having career years.
Right? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. So yeah, with that, let's go ahead and move on to the rest of the NHL. As much as we would love to just keep harping on everybody, and we know where it's at. The Avs are kicking butt. Move on. So
next story, please. That's getting old.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and talk standings real quick. Actually, before we get into the news from the league, let's go ahead and hit standings just so we know where everybody is sitting. And we're going to try something for the first time here on this show. We have a little bit of a slideshow here.
We're getting fancy, people.
We're getting fancy. That's right. All right. I'm going to pop this up. Look at that. All right. Anyway. So yeah, let's get into the NHL standings. Go ahead and start with league-wide first. Sitting up top, the Florida Panthers have taken over the number 1 spot with 40 points, a record of 18-4-4. Definitely pretty wild. It's fun seeing what's sitting at the top because it just keeps changing. It's bounced between, the Panthers, the Rangers, the Wild, the Capitals, the Maple Leafs were up top right after they beat us. So, the top of the league is definitely just bouncing around a lot.
Don't worry, people. You'll see the Avs up there eventually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Give it time. One more thing that we'll talk about with the Avs. I don't know if everybody saw it or not, but for the 4 straight years, they have had the exact same amount of points through their first 22 games.
Nice.
Absolutely nuts. And for 3 straight years, it's been the same record. Just goofy, man. So for anybody who is worried about this team, no, we'll be fine.
We'll be good. We'll be fine.
See what they've done the last 3 years. We'll be fine.
This top 8 is fascinating to look at. I mean, there's only 2 Western Conference teams in the top 8, man. Right. That's Minnesota Wild, which I did not expect to see up there, and the Calgary Flames, which are just. I can't wait for the first Battle of Alberta.
Yeah, right. For real. Yeah, they got blessed, man, with their goaltending this year, and it's going to be interesting to see once they really get to see, the number 1 and number 2 in the league with McDavid and Draisaitl. That's going to be a wild show for sure.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic.
But yeah, I agree with you, man. The Wild were not the team that I expected to see where they are right now, and it's something we did talk about last week, and it's something that I will kind of remind people. I still feel the same way. Their schedule hasn't been that difficult. Again, it's the NHL. Anything can happen. Anybody can win from day to day. But when you're looking at the teams that each team has played, they've played a lot of sub 500 teams. They've played a lot of kind of the lower echelon of teams throughout the league so far. So it kind of helps, but still, credit, got to give credit where credit's due. They've been winning those games, and that's what it comes down to, is the fact that, when you're given the opportunity to take on some of the lower tier teams, you still got to win those games, and they have been, and, props to them for that. Definitely something that I was not expecting when the season started. I didn't expect to see them even close to a playoff spot this year. So, props to Minnesota for that. You'll never hear me say those words, hopefully, ever again.
You wash your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll be back. Let me go get some soap real quick. But yeah, definitely the shocker to me. The other shocker to me that I want to point out is Tampa Bay. holy crap, have they gone on a tear? Because at one point they were just like the Avs. They were struggling right out the gate. Definitely are not putting the best product on the ice for sure. And man, they absolutely took off and have now jumped into the 5th spot in the NHL, which, and what do you expect? It's Tampa Bay. They've won 2 Stanley Cups in a row.
Did they put Kucherov on the IR yet?
Yeah. Sure did. We won't see him till playoff time. But yeah, just absolutely incredible what they've done out there in Tampa. And the rest of this, you kind of expect.
You kind of expect to see the rest of those teams there.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and start jumping into the divisions, though. We'll start with the Pacific. We're going from west to east. So start with, again, the Calgary Flames, who are sitting up top of the Pacific. And man,
Ducks,
that man right there in the picture, Jacob Markstrom, just absolutely having a phenomenal season, as well as Vladar, who is back up, also just getting shutout after shutout. And I gotta say, as someone who was stoked to see Kemper come in and is hoping for Frankie to have a quick return and get in here and give us some good goaltending, man, am I jealous.
Right?
That's the hockey I want to see, where you're just putting up zeros night in, night out. Like, incredible.
I mean, for me on this, the Ducks continue to impress. That 15-8-5 record, 35 points, in second place in the Pacific Division. Talk about a resurgent team and what they've been able to do there. I mean, just fantastic to see. And you go down that list. Vegas has moved up a position. They've overtaken the San Jose Sharks right there. Like you said, don't worry about Colorado. Don't worry about Vegas sitting in 5th spot last week. They're eventually going to move up, and you'll probably see that over in the Central Division when we get there. But let's talk about this. Vancouver Canucks fired their GM, their head coach, and brought in Bruce Boudreau to take over in Vancouver, and they went 3-0 this week. The ship has been pulled out of the water. It's on shore. It's being repaired, and they are getting ready to set sail again. Can they keep? I mean, Boudreau is a fantastic head coach, and sometimes that's all it takes is for a new head coach to come in and be like, "Hey, look, pull y'all's heads out of your ass, and let's go play some hockey." What was it, the year the St. Louis Blues won the Stanley Cup? They were fighting with each other in practice. You brought in a new head coach and said, "Look, guys, we got the talent. Let's go prove it."
Yeah,
we went from last place to Stanley Cup champs.
Yep.
I mean, don't sleep on the Canucks right now with Boudreau at the helm.
Yeah,
this team's going to start climbing fast.
Yeah, you're 100% correct on that. Because this is a team that really doesn't look all that different from the team that played upset to the Vegas Golden Knights in the bubble and played upset to the St. Louis Blues in the bubble. I mean, this is a team that really didn't take many pieces away from that. They've even added some, throwing in Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Connor Garland from Arizona, as well as really bringing out the best in players like Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes and some others that, and bringing in some, granted the goaltending last year with Braden Holtby didn't work out too well, but bringing out the best in Thatcher Demko, back in the bubble. And so it's not like this team just kind of went, okay, sell the farm, get rid of everybody. No, it's basically the same team, so they have that talent.
They got the talent. They just gotta put the script together and get going. And Boudreau looks to have, gotten the attention of the locker room there and really said, "Look, guys, sink or swim. It's on you guys. I'm putting the game plan out there. Let's roll." And so far, they're rolling.
Yeah,
staying hot.
Yes, they are. I would agree with that. Definitely the team that I'd keep an eye out for would be those Vancouver Canucks, and especially obviously got to give them time. They started off so slow that it's probably going to take a month or two to really start to see what's happening with that team. But don't be surprised if in a month or two you're seeing them in a playoff spot.
Oh yeah. Don't blink, guys. You'll miss it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And just for a final thing here for the Pacific, I have to say that the thing that has me so surprised is the fact that the top 2 teams in the division missed the playoffs last year.
Yep.
Talk about a turnaround. And in Calgary's way, it's kind of the same thing with Vancouver. It's not like they have a different team. It's pretty much stayed the same. They added a piece or two, but it takes that coaching. It takes the whole thing coming together. And that's what Calgary and Anaheim for sure have proven this season. Let's move on to the Central, where the Minnesota Wild are sitting up top. But don't worry.
That is a flattering picture.
Yeah, I know. It's too good, man. It's all
nice selection, man.
Like,
that's awesome.
Sold. That's the one we're using. But yeah, so as we talked about, definitely this is a surprise seeing Minnesota off such a hot start, sitting at 39 points, 19-6-1 so far. But 2 places behind that, and soon to be ahead of them, I'm sure, are Colorado Avalanche, sitting at 15-7-2, 32 points. And that's been something that has changed pretty quickly. At one point we were sitting in second place right after we had beaten New York, I believe. I remember seeing a tweet from Mark Mosier, saying, "Oh, when you wake up and the Avs are in second place," and I was like, "The hell do you mean the Avs are in second place?" And looked, I was like, "Oh my God, look at that!"
Yeah, I mean, you come off that 5-game road trip, you go, the one loss in Toronto, an overtime loss, but you took 7 to 10 points in a 5-game road trip.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal performance, in my opinion. It could have been worse. You could have lost to, could have lost outright to Ottawa, but you didn't. You managed to battle back.
Yeah.
But you went from 5th place last week when we were talking at this point last week with 25 points up to 3rd place this Saturday, sitting with 32 points, and you're coming home for, I think, like a three game homestead.
Yeah.
I believe is what it's on the schedule. I know at least 2 games, but you've got some home games against some powerful teams. Florida Panthers are in town tomorrow night, a big game. I mean, I looked at that Rangers game in the middle of the week and I was like, hey man, if we can get out of Madison Square Garden with a point, I will be ecstatic.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did you get away with a point, you got away with 2, and a 7-3 win. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Against a red hot Rangers team. You saw the standings, league wide. They're sitting in second place in the league right now. I will take a win against one of those top tier teams any day of the week. And the Avs are climbing up. You're 4 games behind Minnesota. 7 points in the standings. So it's only a matter of time before we catch up with them and we start playing. And I'm looking forward to seeing those games.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's, something that I hope people remember is that during that road trip, we only had Darcy Kemper for the last game of that.
Yep.
We played 4 of those games with Jonas Johansson.
The 3rd and 4th string goalies, people.
Yeah. So to be able to do what we did on that road trip, to come out of it 3-1-1, like you say, 7 points out of a potential 10, I wasn't expecting that. I'm sure a lot of people weren't. This is a team that I feel like people have kind of saw the early season struggle and just thought that was going to be the way it was going to go this season. We're still talking about the Stanley Cup favorites, the preseason Stanley Cup favorites, which, are starting to kind of show it. They're starting to be that team that we all remember and we all kind of expected them to be. They just got off to a slow enough start that it kind of spooked a lot of us. And kind of got us in that mindset of, oh no, when we do play the Rangers, it's going to be tough. Well, apparently not. We'll see again on Tuesday when they come to town. You were right; it's a 3-game homestand. They'll get another chance. We'll get to see if that just happened to be a fluky game. But I'm going to go ahead and say I'm sure it wasn't.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
Yeah, it's what this team was built for.
Yeah, I mean, amazing what the Avalanche are doing and how things are going. But I want to talk real quick about the team that just came to the Central from the Pacific Division.
Poor guys.
The Arizona Coyotes, man. This team cannot catch a break. And I'm not talking about their record. I'm not talking about their standings right now. I'm talking about what the news that came out about this team earlier this week. The city of Glendale, where they play, threatened to lock them out of their own arena because the organization of the Arizona Coyotes were basically late on their rent check for the stadium. I'm just like, you're an NHL caliber team.
Mm-hmm.
How?
For real.
How does this become an issue? Hey, man, just curious if you're going to give me my money. You know, I got some stuff I got to take care of. So where's my money, man?
Mm-hmm.
Where's my money?
Yeah.
This has Stewie Griffin and Brian Griffin vibes,
Right.
all over it.
Right. Get the baseball bat out, man.
But this team, like Bettman's already come out and said, the Coyotes are in good standing, blah blah blah. We're committed to the city of Glendale, everything else. I'm like, bro, I mean, stop taking the dead dog to the vet and trying to fix it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just grab the shotgun, put it out of its misery, and go get a new dog.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to be as vicious as that. Sorry,
Right.
PETA and everything else. It's metaphor, stupid metaphor. I get it, but relocate this team.
Right. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. There's way too many cities out there, hockey hungry cities, that would gladly take over an NHL franchise, and I can only imagine would do a much better job than what we are seeing down in Arizona. Because right now, it's sad.
It's terrible,
man. It's sad.
I mean, you can keep them in the Central and give them to Quebec.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep them in the Central, and hell, I don't care. Put them in Idaho.
Right? Yeah.
Put them somewhere that wants a hockey team. Kansas, you guys want a hockey team?
Yeah.
What about you, Nebraska? You want a hockey team?
Yeah, it's rough, and it's definitely something that, to use that metaphor, I hope the shotgun comes out soon. It's just, when you see such amazing things happening all over the NHL, the incredible job that they did bringing in Seattle. Granted, putting the team together is a bit of a different story, but what it took.
I've read some more. I've read some more into that Seattle stuff, and a lot of GMs are like, "We're not letting them do the same shit that Vegas did to us. Right. Screw that. Exactly. We're not helping them one bit."
Exactly. But yeah, just bringing the franchise in there has gone so well as far as a business side of it, and to see what's possible in the NHL, man, these Coyotes are just making it sad,
bro. Like, I used to feel sympathetic for Wile E. Coyote, against the Roadrunner and stuff, but these Arizona Coyotes are in a much worse position than Wile E. Coyote.
Yep. Agreed. All right, let's move on. Heading over to the Metro, where we've got the New York Rangers, who we were just talking about, sitting up top with 39 points, the number 2 team in the league, who, again, we will see coming up on Tuesday, so we'll get a chance to knock them down a little bit more. But sitting up at 39 points, 18-5-3, followed by the Washington Capitals at 38 points, 16-5-6. And the rest of the league you can see there. But you've got to give it to the Rangers because it was Washington's division. They were far and away the best team for a hot minute, and New York went on a bit of a tear. They were on a 7-game win streak when we went in to visit them in their home stadium and decided, we're going to end it at 7. You don't get to take it any further. Yeah, it's interesting to see because as we talked about last week, boy, this is not what we were expecting at all. No. To see the Rangers up top and the Islanders in last.
I mean, complete different turnaround from what we saw last year. I mean, both teams were fighting tooth and nail to get into the playoffs last year, and the Rangers grabbed that wild card spot, or the Islanders grabbed that wild card spot, and performed fairly well, and were highly entertaining to watch. As they progressed, and you just sat there and was like, all right, cool. Islanders look like they're gonna keep building, blah blah blah, and they're gonna be great.
Mhm.
Rangers are like, no, man, this is our town.
Yeah.
You gotta go somewhere else, and they've done amazingly well. And the Rangers are probably going to hit a point, are going to deal with some issues. They're probably going to lose a few more games because Igor Shesterkin's on the IR right now. He's their number one goaltender going out. And then the rest of it falls to Georgiev, who's their backup goalie, and just as great as Shesterkin, both young goaltenders and great for the Rangers organization. But they ran into this issue when they welcomed the Avalanche into town. Shesterkin just played the previous night and put up the game of his life. So, hey, you over there, yeah, you're with our minor league team, right? Yeah, come on up. We're gonna let you play in the NHL. Unfortunately, you draw the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, right. Talk about just the worst hand to be dealt. Yeah, your first NHL game and you get put against the Avs. Oh man.
That's just rough for that rookie goaltender. And I'm like, bro, I'm sorry this was your intro to the NHL, but I'm a happy camper because that's my team.
Yeah, like please don't let this derail you. I hope you have a long, healthy, wonderful career. Just don't expect this to happen to you every night.
Yeah, go back to the and it's not like they can send that guy back to the AHL to recoup and everything. He's their backup goaltender right now. Right. So he's sitting on the bench going, it's like Vietnam for him. He's just seeing the flashbacks.
Exactly. It's that picture of Jonas Johansson sitting on the bench after being pulled against Ottawa. Just that mouth agape, just staring up at the scoreboard.
I can't believe what's going on.
That's going to be Huska until he gets his next chance for sure. But to bring it back, like it blows me away because when you saw what happened last season going into those playoffs, just the fight that they had to get there, the Islanders were definitely heading in the right direction. The Rangers were heading in the wrong direction. And it just felt like that was going to be something that would continue, especially when you saw the offseason moves. The Rangers didn't add anybody spectacular. They took Patrick Nemeth and Ryan Reeves. Like that to me was just like, wow, you guys have decided to absolutely shoot yourselves in the foot.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, no, they're out here proving us wrong and just taking over the top spot in the Metro. Meanwhile, the Islanders, who have kept all their firepower, just have not been able to get together and decided to just fall off of a cliff.
How long before you see the Islanders make a coaching change?
I don't think it would happen this year.
I mean, you've had two teams do it already. Vancouver, who was falling off a freaking cliff.
Sure.
And the team right above the Islanders in the standings here, the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah.
They've made drastic changes too. They're like, you know what? We're sick of it.
Yeah.
We're going to make a change. And it hasn't really worked out for them. They've only won one game this week. That was after losing 10 consecutive games too. So, sorry for the Flyers, but I mean, the Islanders are going to have to make a change. I mean, you think, New York fans for the NFL are volatile? Go catch a hockey game.
Yeah.
And get back to me. Tell me how that goes for you when your team loses.
Yeah, no kidding. It is interesting. That's definitely an interesting point to bring up. Simply the only reason I don't think it would happen this season is just because of what Lou Lamoriello has done in New York and has been able to kind of keep them trending in the right direction so well. I don't really see this being the nail in the coffin. He's put them in the spot to win in the past 3 seasons, and that's something that New York had been just starving for. This is a team that was one of the worst teams in the NHL for a long, long time. Oh, yeah. They finally got to taste that success again, and it was in bringing in Lou Lamoriello, and I don't see them just immediately turning around and saying, cool, thanks for getting us here. Now peace out. Whereas the Flyers had just been so inconsistent and also had a horrible season last year too. And Vancouver had a horrible season last year. I think that's kind of the way that it goes of, all right, we give you your chance. If you have a horrible season, can you rebound the next year? If not, then you're gone. And so that's why I don't really see Lou getting jettisoned.
I get that. And I totally understand, where you're coming from. But here's my thing. Mm-hmm. The Islanders just opened up a new arena.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Good point.
If your team's
Good point.
performing poorly in a new arena and you're not selling out crowds, you might start looking like the Arizona Coyotes, and they're like, "Hey, man, I'm missing out on my money here. You told me we were gonna have an abundance of funds, blah blah blah. We're gonna sell out crowds and everything, but you guys are playing like hot garbage." For me, though, and that's the big issue, especially when the team opens up a new arena.
Yeah.
Like Steve Yzerman in Detroit now, they're winning games. They're actually fighting. We'll take a look at them in the Atlantic here shortly. But they have a new arena, Little Caesars Arena, a phenomenal arena, and they're doing very well. So they're going to sell tickets. They're going to make their payment on time. There's, that mob guy's not sitting out front flipping a coin waiting for his change. Okay.
Yeah.
I firmly believe if the Islanders are still struggling come the All-Star break, the Olympic break, they may take that opportunity to look at making a change.
Yeah. Fair enough. That's definitely true. Something I hadn't thought about. I kind of forgot that they just opened that new arena. So yeah, that's a good point. You don't want to open a new arena and be so bad that no one wants to come to the games. So,
I mean, bro, I was a season ticket holder of the year. The Avs had 48 points. Yeah. I couldn't give away tickets for people to go watch a hockey game.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
food for thought, guys.
Yeah. No, very good point. Definitely something to that we'll be keeping an eye on and see what happens. Let's move over to the Atlantic and finish this up here. And I guess one thing that we did kind of do is kind of add in the news from around the league in with the standings. So it worked out. We're not gonna go too crazy. We're not gonna
go over a ton.
Yeah,
not too bad.
Yep. All right, but we're looking at the number one team in the league, Florida Panthers, first team to hit 40 points, followed very closely by the Tampa Bay Lightning with 38 points, and Toronto, who dropped off a little bit, went from 2 to 3 because of Tampa Bay's just absolute surgence in the last couple of weeks. In third place with 38 points as well. And the team that you brought up just a second ago, the Detroit Red Wings, sitting in fourth with 29. Definitely a big turnaround from the horrible years they have had over the past couple of seasons. And I would say that out of all this, that's kind of where my surprise would be. Florida, we expected them to be really good. Tampa, obviously. Toronto, also obviously. So those three, you kind of expected they were going to be fighting for 1, 2, and 3. That all made sense. But Detroit sitting in there at number 4, that's where I have my surprise face at. Because, would have figured it would have been Boston or Montreal, God forbid the team that went to the Stanley Cup last year, maybe being in an okay place. But yeah, instead it's Detroit sitting in that 4th spot.
I mean, for me, the Atlantic Division, go ahead and put a lock on 1, 2, and 3 as these being the top 3 teams in that division and clinching playoff berths. I will give all 3 of those teams a playoff berth right now on December 11th with several games left to go in the season. I mean, by far and large, the spread of talent in the Atlantic Division is heavily favored to those top 3 teams. It's going to come down to Detroit and Boston on who's going to get a possible wild card spot in the Eastern Conference right here out of the Atlantic Division, if they manage to do that. Keep in mind, with a full 82-game season, it's down to the best 2 records in each conference now, not just who's that 4th team hanging out in that division like it was last year. So I fully expect to see one of these 2 teams making a run for it. If Steve Yzerman has his say with it, which I got to give credit where credit's due, man. Yzerman's turning that team around. And Detroit, as bad as they looked at, as terrible as they may have played against us, the red hot Avalanche, the Detroit Red Wings are a team to watch moving forward with what Yzerman's doing there. And Boston's been kind of quiet this season, man. You don't hear much about Pasternak or anybody else going on right there. I mean, the most I've heard out of Boston this year is that Pasta is selling pasta now.
All right. Yeah.
And that goes into last season. So, it's going to definitely be interesting to see who else comes out of this conference, if anybody, come playoff time. But my eye is solidly on what the Red Wings do the rest of this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it should be interesting. I was just looking at their schedule real quick because I was curious as to kind of what they had coming up because they started off so hot. They're one of the few undefeated teams when it all started to wind down, and they hit a little bit of a skid against our division here in the Central. They lost to the Blues before us, lost to the Predators before that. But their next game is against the Islanders. That should definitely help kind of get the juices flowing again. Then they hit Carolina. Definitely going to be a tough game. But then they have New Jersey, us, the Wild, the Rangers, and the Islanders again. So it's going to be tough going for them. This couple of weeks, I would say, would be the make or break time for Detroit as to if they're going to really play up to that potential that they have, and the stuff that we kind of saw early in the season, or if this is where they're going to kind of be the fakers and start to drop off.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, but I absolutely agree with you. That's the team to watch right there. Because again, like you said, the top three, that's locked down. That's going to be the top three when all is said and done, I'm sure. Just jumbled up there. Who knows if Florida's going to keep over number one. But those three teams are definitely going to be the top three. Outside of that, I do want to point out, now that I just looked at this, I was like, wait a minute, I feel like I forgot to make a change here. The Canadians are in 8th place. The Senators are in 7th. The points and records are correct. I just forgot to swap the teams around. So my bad there.
Whoops.
Yeah. Whoops. Oh, wow.
They're both those teams are absolutely terrible right now, and they've got some building to do. So
thankfully it's not like I did that for 1 and 2, and we're like, oh, actually,
right.
It's okay. The 2 worst teams in the league, well, other than Arizona, I'm fine with messing that up. But yeah, for the first time on this show, we threw up some slides, got to be a little more interactive with it. So I'll take it, man. I will take it.
I love it. It's fantastic. Looks great. We'll update it.
Yep.
Each week and keep track of our standings a little easier that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing we are actually going to do is do another slide here. And it's a little bit different. This is how we're gonna end our show, because we do want to talk about a player who has been in the league for a hot minute but is no more. Ben Bishop, a player who was with Tampa Bay for a long time. Did a lot for that organization, and then has played kind of all over the place. Played 11 seasons. Played with the Blues, the Senators, the Lightning, the LA Kings, and the Stars. But definitely most remembered for his time in Tampa Bay and in Dallas. Sorry to see him go, but he's been dealing with a degenerative knee injury that just seems to not let him go. Just, will not let him heal. And unfortunately, he's decided to hang up the pads, calling it a career after 11 seasons. Just some stuff on Ben Bishop, just so that, we remember the fact that he actually was a fantastic goaltender. It's been a while since we've really seen him. I feel like the last we saw was a little bit in the bubble. And even then, I believe he got injured. And that's when Anton Hudobin really took over for Dallas. But definitely the season before, it was, it was Bishop's team. But 11 seasons, 3-time Vezina Trophy finalist in 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2018, 2019. So recently, we're just talking 2 years ago, this dude was looked at as one of the best in the league. Helped the Lightning reach the Stanley Cup final in 2015 when they lost to the Chicago Blackhawks in 6 games. Definitely what I remember him from was that stretch. Just very, very good for the Lightning. He was kind of there for the start of what became, kind of the dynasty that we're seeing these days. Is right before Vasilevsky came in, and Ben was definitely what kind of propelled that team into where they're sitting at nowadays. He is second in wins and shutouts in Lightning history, now behind who took over for him, Andrei Vasilevsky. 131 wins with the team and 17 shutouts. My mouse is in the wrong spot. There you go. There you go. He is overall in his career, some crazy numbers. 222 wins, 128 losses. So almost 100 more wins than losses, and 36 overtime losses. That is phenomenal.
That's impressive.
That is very impressive. You don't see that often where you have almost 100 more wins than losses in a career. A career goals against average of 2.32, very good. Save percentage of 921, phenomenal. That's actually better than Patrick Waugh and Marty Brodeur. 33 shutouts in 413 games. So fantastic career from Ben Bishop. Sad to see it go down the way it is. You never ever want careers to end in injury. You always want it to end with, I'm just too old to do this crap anymore. But unfortunately, we will see the end of Ben Bishop's career after a career-ending knee injury. So,
Which is sad to see in its own right. I mean, you're talking about only 11 years in the NHL, and most of the time it's a hip issue that puts a goalie out to pasture like that. But the degenerative knee issue is no laughing matter. I mean, this is something that's been going on for quite some time with Ben Bishop, and he just can't get over it. The Dallas Stars have already come out and said that he'll remain on long-term IR with the team and continue to get it treated and taken care of. And then once he's cleared from IR by team doctors and a secondary an outside source from the team, that he will officially sign his retirement papers and be done with the NHL. But I mean, Bishop is one of those goalies that I grew up watching when I finally started watching hockey. Yes, I caught a bit of the Patrick Waugh, the Marty Brodeur era of hockey and everything, but for me, it was goalies like Bishop and Jonathan Quick and Henrik Lundqvist and whatnot that I watched when I started watching hockey. I didn't start watching hockey until about 98, 99. So I missed the Avs first Stanley Cup run. And, didn't really follow hockey consistently until 2001 when the Avs actually won the Cup. So for me, Bishop was one of those guys. I was in Kentucky when I started watching hockey, so I was definitely more in tune with the East Coast for hockey than I was Central or Pacific Division back then. So congrats on an amazing career to an amazing guy like Ben Bishop. And hopefully that knee issue, clears up and he can go out and do whatever it is he's going to do after the NHL.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's 100% right. Is, as we talked about before, we always look at athletes on kind of a pedestal. It naturally happens when you talk about the best in the world at something, but we have to remember these are human beings. And so, like I said, you never want careers to end due to injury. And when they do, it sucks. And it's something that I hope everyone comes back from. And so, yeah, definitely a big shout out to Ben Bishop. Hopefully that knee heals up and he's able to, continue a very healthy, long life outside of hockey. Yeah. And like you say, man, congrats on one hell of a career. Those are some impressive numbers. With that, I do want to pop up the GoFundMe link that Scott set up for relief to the families in Kentucky and to anybody else who can get help from this. Again, just to touch on what we did in the start, thoughts, prayers, energy, love, anything that you can send, especially if you are able to donate, that would do just immense help to an area that is in desperate need of it. What happened out in the central U.S. is just, like I say, as a lifelong Colorado kid, it's something that I can't even imagine. So, if you're able to, please go donate, help out in any way that you can. These are our fellow Americans. These are our fellow humans. They need help. So if you can, please help. With that, Scott, any final words, my guy?
No, just what you said. Central America was hit by some massive tornadoes last night. And not only, the hometown I grew up in, but several other small towns, and we're talking millions, if not billions of dollars worth of damage done across 4 states. Numerous lives potentially lost, injured, homes destroyed, and stuff like that. So, Red Cross, National Guard, all these local services are being activated to help in the recovery and cleanup efforts that are going on currently underway. A lot of these places, a lot of these people who are dehomed are staying in high schools and other emergency shelters and stuff. And I know for a fact that some of these services are going to be stretched pretty thin. So any funds we raise go directly to helping provide food, water, shelter costs, stuff like that. Stuff that isn't covered by people's insurances and stuff like that. So any amount of money you guys can donate towards this is just amazing and heartfelt for me, and not just for me, but the people impacted by this. I am working with my family and talking to some of the mayors from the cities close to Mayfield and charities, churches and stuff there. Any money I raise through this GoFundMe is going to go directly to those sources, so they can impact, deliver a huge impact as soon as possible. So first donations are going to be sent to them the end of next week, and I'm going to keep this GoFundMe going as long as possible, as long as people want to continue to donate. So thank you guys again for allowing me to share this GoFundMe with you guys, and every little bit helps, even if it is 10 cents.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And as we said before, we are going to throw that GoFundMe up on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network's Facebook page, so you can also go there to find the link and donate. With that, thank you all so much for joining us. And again, what was a pretty heartfelt episode. Hopefully we do not have many of these. I've got my fingers crossed that we can kind of get through this through the rest of this year and through 2022 without having to have many more episodes like this. But thank you all so much for joining. I appreciate it. For Scott Cole, I am Gregory Doudna. Be sure to check out our Twitter pages if you would like to chat with us at any time throughout the week over anything. While we are the In the Crease team, we do love all sports. We love our football. We love lacrosse. We've got the Mammoth coming up, having the start of their season.
Rough game so far. They're down 5-2.
No, that's all right. They'll come back. It'll be fine. But yeah, we are sports fans. We are, just absolute, fanatics of professional sports. So anything that you guys feel like chatting with us about, be sure to hit up our Twitters. Mine is Doudna Writes, at Doudna Writes. Scott, yours is Avs Cole, right?
At Avs Cole right now.
Cole. Perfect.
I'm not on that. I'm, new phone, trying to get it downloaded and stuff, work in progress. But I promise if you message me there, I will eventually respond.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, be sure to check us out there. In the meantime, have a phenomenal week. Be safe, be healthy, be everything that you need to have a good week. Thank you all very much for joining us. Be good people. Be excellent to each other. We will see you all next week, next Saturday, for the next episode of In the Crease. Until then, be good, be healthy, be safe. See you all next time.